Welcome back to DONSLIFE and welcome to the channel. There's something that doesn't add up about the 6.2 liter L87 situation. Because while the investigation is still ongoing, real owners are already dealing with blown engines and lowball offers. And in one case, the details of a buyback I know you're going to find quite shocking. So in this video, I'm not speculating, I'm walking you through real emails, real documents, and real experiences that were sent directly to me. And by the end of this, you're going to have a much clearer picture of what is actually happening behind the scenes. Let's go. Let's start with something small but important because it actually shows how this investigation is being built behind the scenes. This first one sent to me from Hardy. Hey Don, I've been keeping up with your recall videos on the 6.2 liter GM motors. I've had multiple failures in my 2020 AT4. I received this email this morning and thought you may be interested that the NHTSA is still researching. So this email coming from the NHTSA says, my name is Steve Perry from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA. We are following up on the loss of motive power experienced with your L87 6.2 engine. To help the Office of Defects Investigation, ODI, thoroughly understand this issue, could you please address the following? Do you currently own the vehicle? Did you immediately restart after the failure, or did you need to be towed? Were any warning lights illuminated on the dashboard, or did you notice any unusual vehicle symptoms before the incident? Are dealer repair order records available? If so, please attach them to your reply email. If not, please specify which components were replaced or found to be at fault. Example, connecting rod bearings, engine block breach, crankshaft main bearings, crankshaft, connecting rods, camshaft lifters, cylinder head valves, excessive oil consumption, etc. Have you experienced any subsequent drivability issues or repeat failures? Please describe any injuries or crashes, if any. I replied to Hardy and confirmed that this is the response from his filing his complaint with the NHTSA. So this, in my opinion, reminds us of the importance of filing these issues with the NHTSA so it can help with their ongoing investigation. So here's something interesting. This one was sent to me from Todd. It is actually a message from the forum he's a part of, gmtrucks.com. Subject, NHTSA opens investigation into GM recall and 6.2 liter V8 engine failures. The reason I'm mentioning this one is I think it's pretty cool that the forums are also proactively reaching out to their members. Hi Todd, a quick update for anyone running a 6.2 liter V8 that was part of the recent recall. As part of this specific recall service, GM switched the recommended oil in affected trucks to 0W40, but according to a new investigation just opened by the NHTSA, which I've reported on before, that dealer fix may not be solving the problem for everyone. We put together a short report on what the government is looking into and what you need to know, even if your truck already had the recall service done. Check out the full details here, and they provide a link. Again, I think it's pretty cool that forums, these communities, are going through these lengths to help their audience. Now this next one, and this is where things get serious because what started as a simple engine failure turned into a full buyback battle. And the numbers changed dramatically over time. I'm going to walk you through this step by step because there's a lot to unpack here. We talked about David in a previous video about his engine failure. He pursued a buyback, and I'm going to do my best to walk you through that adventure. Keep in mind that this takes place in Florida, so the legalities of pursuing this route could vary depending on where you are. And disclaimer, I'm not advising, nor am I qualified to give legal advice on these matters or anything similar. So the first email I received from David was December 21st, 2025, where he shared the video of his blown engine. So the next email that David shared has some updated information from his dealership with some pictures as well as a number of attachments. It also speaks about his trade-in, because this is something he was exploring, coming in between $43,000 to $45,000. He feels that's $20K lower than the Kelly Blue Book for an $81,000 truck that's only 3 months old. And you can see there's a number of attachments here for the damage on the pistons and the cylinders, as well as an inspection report, his NHTSA complaint, and some correspondence we're definitely going to get into after I talk about the former. First attachment was this one right here. It was the complaint that he filed with the NHTSA, submitted on December 28th, 2025. The reason I think that's important is it establishes the timeline for the story that I'm about to walk you through. I'm just going to jump right to the incident report. So 2025 Chevrolet 1500 Silverado High Country 6.2 liter motor with 5,624 miles, blown motor. When I tried to start it, the motor made a noise like someone tossed a handful of spoons into a blender. This is something that I talked about in my previous video when we played the video, but bear with me, we'll go through this as it will be accompanied by some other documents. Motor shut off on its own. This was on a Sunday, December 21st on 2025. The truck was towed. The dates are all here. He spoke to 7 different people before a manager called him later that evening and said his case would be reviewed by another manager that stated they were the direct manager of that person they first talked to, and they'd reach out within 2 to 3 days. The manager also stated that they were unaware of any 2021 to 2024 issues. He informed customer service that he wanted a buyback and that the 7 service departments told him that motor replacements are taking 3 to 6 months. He's been told that the repair for the 6.2 has not been properly addressed and new motors still have catastrophic failures. He spoke to 7 local Chevrolet service departments. Each one said that they had several of the 6.2 liter motors in with major failures, some brand new 2025s. The next attachment in this email was the inspection report from the dealership. Requested service, related requested service, appointment override, needs immediate attention, services pre-approved, miscellaneous, appointment override, A+ service, engine assembly, belt, all the parts involved with that, new oil, coolant, spark plugs, all listed there. Customer approved on 12/26/2025, requested service. Multi-walk-around, multi-point inspection, requested service. General Motors may send you a survey based on our service visit. Loaner, stock GM loaner. Loaners must be returned within 48 hours of vehicle completion. So basically, not much detail here, just a bunch of information, but it doesn't really get specific on what is going on. This is where it takes a turn or starts to get a little more serious. So this is David's correspondence with the dealer when it comes to the repair estimate that he reviewed and its lack of information or its ambiguity. The attached repair estimate is incomplete. In fact, it has 0 information. The overall inspection report does not give any damage information at all. The appointment override says nothing about a new motor. There are only some quick action items. Please provide what the fix is. Example, is it a new complete motor, not a small block? From this, I cannot tell if you were keeping the cylinders or simply throwing parts on, or if you were replacing the motor with a short block or reusing the heads or the intake, etc. Those are important details. This is not a repair estimate. In addition, there are no notes of any kind from the mechanic detailing his findings in layman terms. So it just goes on to, repeat some of what was in that initial inspection that we went over. And then he also highlights that this is a major failure and requires proper documentation sent to him. He references the Chevy customer service number as well as the NHTSA ODI consumer communication file number. Interesting. So here's the dealership's response to David's inquiry. So thank you for your email. You are correct. The previously attached email did not clearly explain the engine failure or the repair plan. Below is a detailed explanation of the findings and the repair being performed. So it talks here about the cause of failure and the inspection findings. The piston in cylinder number 3 is damaged. Metal debris is present inside cylinder 3, and the cylinder wall is scored, damaged. Due to this internal damage and complete loss of compression in cylinder number 3, the engine cannot be repaired by replacing individual components. The damage is internal to the engine block and is not serviceable. So the repair plan, the engine will be replaced with a complete engine assembly, a long block. This is not a short block repair, and we are not reusing the damaged internal engine components. The replacement engine assembly includes the engine block and all internal components and restores the engine to proper operating condition. The existing engine is not being rebuilt and parts are not being installed onto the damaged engine. Parts that are being replaced, in addition to the complete engine assembly, related components and seals are being replaced to ensure proper installation, reliability, and to meet manufacturer requirements. These include, and there's a list here of gaskets, seals, etc. These parts are required when performing an engine replacement to prevent leaks, ensure proper operation, and comply with manufacturer installation standards. So that is much more comprehensive and a better explanation as to what service is going to be performed when it comes to this engine replacement. So maybe it does help to ask questions or push back a little. So here's some images of the damage that was discovered. So here you have the piston impact on your left, and then on the right, you have clear scoring of the cylinder walls. So extensive damage and needs to be replaced, not repaired. So this next email is from December 31st, which includes a dealership bid sheet to take the truck in on trade towards a new HD model. The trade value is very low compared to the Kelly Blue Book information that David retrieved. So hi Don, here is the bid sheet versus the Kelly Blue Book. Note the vehicle has not been repaired, but they did tell me the actions in Florida area are seeing a drop in price value. Let's take a look at the Kelly Blue Book first, and then we'll take a look at the bid sheet. The formatting on this document's a little bit off, but I think you can read the important parts. We have a trade-in value estimated at $61,836, and this is with a mileage of 5,624, and the condition is excellent. Okay, here's the bid sheet or the trade-in estimate document. So we have the vehicle being looked at to purchase as a 2026 Chevrolet Silverado 2500 HD in gray. It's a high country trim, and we have the trade-in vehicle, the 2025 Chevrolet Silverado 1500. It's a high country as well, and you can see the details there with the mileage, 5,882 for the trade-in, only 5 miles on the new vehicle. Then we have some payment breakdown options here, but here's where the information gets interesting. So the market selling price of the new truck is $90,000 and change. There's some discounts involved, some rebates, gives us an adjusted price. We have a total care protection, which you can see all those elements are listed down below, from window tint to exterior paint protection, low jacking GPS technology, nitrogen filled tires, 3M door guards. It goes on and on and on. I don't know how you feel with these total care protection plans, but I have my own opinions. That brings the total purchase to $81,640. The trade-in allowance for his old truck, which was almost new, $48,000. Trade-in difference is $33,000. Then there's some fees, and you come up with a balance. So that's the information that we're working with for a trade-in on December 29th, 2025. So fast forward to February 25th, David shares a large amount of information, and David credits the Better Business Bureau for assisting with his efforts. They have an auto division whose rep was a great help compared to who he was dealing with at GM. Essentially, there is now a buyback offer that's excluding the window tint and the tonneau cover that he had installed since new. He has also asked for the National Automotive Dealers Association retail value to figure out if a buyback or a trade-in makes more financial sense. With this, there is also some leveraging of the lemon laws as they pertain to people that reside in Florida. I'm not going to go line by line by this email, but what I just talked about is the general sense of what you see here. Now, to add insult to injury, while he's dealing with all of this, the engine in his original truck did get replaced, and he has an update about that replacement motor. It's burning oil. So Chevrolet has asked for an oil consumption test, but they also tried to say that the heavy black smoke that he was experiencing and strong smell of burning oil and fuel were normal as part of a cold start. Remember, he lives in Florida, not Wisconsin, as he says here. So cold starts really we don't think apply, but I'll just show you what that work order looks like. So here's a copy of the work order on the left. At first they're talking about they couldn't duplicate any concerns with low oil pressure. There were no codes. They drove about 80 miles with the truck. However, partway down, they verify the customer's concern of the oil level being low, and it was necessary to add 2 quarts of oil to the system, and then they ordered an oil consumption test. But within this, they talk about the black smoke. They recognize that it's there, as well as the odor on startup. And then they attach in the top right here a bulletin that exists for black smoke, rough idle, and minimal misfires on cold start. And they were attributing that symptom to this document. If you look down below, you can see the oil consumption test was initiated. I didn't see anything further to what was right here, but just the fact that they needed to order that test tells you that something's wrong. Okay, so this is the most up-to-date email that I've received from David on Friday, April 17th. That's just the other day. So Don, attached you will find 3 offer letters from GM. So he attaches the original offer letter, which I showed you earlier. Then there's a second offer letter, which now recognizes his window tint and his tonneau cover, as well as the retail on the vehicle from when he first traded it in from the vehicle he had before this one. So it's a little bit, confusing if you didn't know that, as well as there's now a credit for the NADA, the National Automotive Dealers Association estimate on what it's worth for his vehicle. That's in there. And then he has a third attachment, which is the original deal plus the window tint, the tonneau cover, and also giving him credit for his amp retractable floorboards and running boards. So we'll go over those in a second. But before I get there, he did use the Better Business Bureau, the automotive division. He did try to hire an attorney, which they all wanted $5,000 to $10,000, probably just for the retainer. And they told him to use the Better Business Bureau auto division. So from start to finish, he filed with the Better Business Bureau, and that was on January 22nd, 2026. And he reached a settlement about a week ago before this email, and then he dropped the truck off today on April 17th, 2026. The service manager told him that they have over 12 trucks with blown motors waiting on motors for months. He said it's gotten really bad. He said Chevy customer service keeps telling customers all kinds of crazy things, are not responding at all, which is what they did to him. I guess customers are coming into the service department ready to fight. It's getting ugly. Again, this didn't happen to me. This was shared with me, but let's take a closer look at those offers. Okay, here we go. So the buyout offer on the far left is the second one because it now includes the window tint, the tonneau cover, and the NADA value adjustment. You can see that's $456, $2,300, and $11,500, bringing us to a total of $79,460. And now on the right is the latest buyout offer, which is the one that he signed for. It now includes everything we talked about, plus the trade-in aftermarkets, which would be the amp motorized steps. That gives an additional $5,918.29, bringing the total buyout to the customer for $85,378.38. So there you have it. So here's the reality right now. The investigation isn't over, the recall hasn't officially expanded, but clearly things are happening behind the scenes. Owners are filing complaints, engines are still failing, and in some cases, it's taking serious effort to get fair resolution. Now, I'm going to keep following this closely, and if you had any experience with your 6.2 liter L87, good or bad, please tell us about it in the comment section below. I want to hear about it, and so do many others. And I've said this before, but the more data that we have gives us a clearer picture of what's going on. So I appreciate you watching. If you found this video interesting, please hit that like button to support the channel. Please consider subscribing, and we'll talk to you next time.